officially being recorded. John Jacobson. I'm the chairperson of the Park Advisory Committee. Not to waylay you, but the GIS presentation is really cool. That's something that, as a consultant in my private life, that's what we do. To level, Paul was talking about the park stuff. For the city of Sioux Falls, they actually GIS all their trees. We GISed all their downtown trees. So just like water and sewer, they count trees as a public utility. When it comes to age and removal, anything that's in the right-of-way or is a public tree in a park, they consider it just like a water main or sewer main. So it can be taken to another level. And for the ESRI program that was shown up there, this is just for Paul, was developed by a landscape architect. I just want to say that. So, yeah. Okay. But we're not here to talk about any of that. So thanks, Barb, for letting me come quick. And what I want to talk to you is about the proposed CIP park budget that we went through the last couple weeks. I think Brian handed that out to you. Is there a specific page it's on?
Last two pages,
Okay.
27 and 28.
So between the advisory committee and different members of the public, and most certainly Devin, we went through things here over the last few weeks, and what I want to do is run you through that. So as you know, the handout I gave you, we've been working the last few years to develop a strategic plan to slowly get improvements done within our community. To use an example, I think the Aspen Park restroom is a good example of it takes a lot of money to build something half decent. It may seem like $350,000 is a lot of money for a restroom concession building, but that's about where we thought it would be. Frankly, because you build them to essentially be able to withstand the public and clean them out with power hoses and stand the test of time. So our past budgets over history of the committee and even prior to the committee have always been really slim. A typical toilet might cost you $150,000 to build, as an example, within the Sioux Falls Park system. And we build ours here for about $50,000, including city labor within that. So you can see that everything we've always done has been quite frugal and pragmatic. So I want to use that as a preference here. The first thing I'm going to start with is the swimming pool. Right now, the pool, all the major pumps in the pool need to be replaced. We don't really have much choice about that at all. We're lucky that they haven't given out already. So those need to be replaced. So I'm not sure where that falls in on this
So
one.
that 26,200 for pumps. That's
Yeah, thank
the
you.
two main pumps in the big pool. That's $25,000 for those two. And then the pump at the kiddie pool.
For about $1,200.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave, because you guys don't need me, is what it's called.
And then the other improvement you see related to the pool is the epoxy flooring. Right now, the pool house has just a sealed concrete floor. Park staff went in there, painted the walls this year, and we did a tour of it, myself, a couple park board members, and Barb. We're replacing lockers in there right now. Everything's quite dated. The epoxy flooring will give it a clean look, and also gives it a safety factor in there compared to the slippery of the sealed concrete floor right now. So, and then next year, just so you know, related to that, we want to upgrade all the lighting in there. So between the epoxy flooring, the new lighting, the new lockers, painting it.
Roll-up doors.
Yeah, we want to do roll-up doors next year as well, just to replace the ones that there. We're kind of trying to put new life into that building and extend its life. And then the pumps obviously do extend the life of the pool. And then the other item you'll see in there, under other 429, you'll see $35,000 dedicated there. What that is for is As you know, council did a pool study probably 8 years ago, Larry, something like that, that, came up with, and I don't remember off the top of my head, it was like a $6 million pool plan, or
10.
was it 8?
11 to 12.
11 to 12.
Well, with the lazy river and everything,
Yeah.
yeah. I was thinking in the middle again, but, so we know that that's not possible. I mean, everyone knows that the pool runs at a deficit right now, but we always hear a fair amount of complaints from the public just about trying to get more elements and upgrading it. So what we want to do is spend that $35,000 on a study to begin a plan to construct a splash pad. So it'd be, a splash pad is essentially a non-lifeguarded area that can either be within the fence or on the outside of the fence, that's got water features in it, a non-slip surface. Kids can run through the water. So as an example, if we were to do it on the outside of the fence, when we're at maximum level of people on the inside, anybody who can't go in can still use the spray park for access and to be able to cool off and do all those fun things.
How often do
Well,
you
we're-
turn people away in other words?
This year, I've had a few times early,
Just a couple times?
a couple times this year. Last year,
Last year,
it was quite often.
Quite
It all
often.
depends on temperature. If it's a hot summer,
yeah,
we'll reach capacity. I think it happened twice this year.
yeah. I think early when we were up into those 90s, it was full. When I drove by there, it was packed in there.
We've done some minor equipment replacing already on the pool, but we've been ignoring it as a community for a long time, and so some of these things just need to be done to be able to continue to extend its life. So we want to be able to invest that money in a study to get us a plan. Now, whether or not that splash pad even goes at Aspen Park by the pool, I guess that's something that remains to be seen as well. Maybe that's located somewhere else in town, and it's something we'll have to cross the bridge on. So that's the major things related to the pool.
Well, then one other item, the software equipment for 10,000. If you remember, if you've been going to the pool for a while, we historically use patches for season passes.
Yeah.
We want to go to a barcode system.
Just don't go to the implanted chip.
Well, that's the next step.
Christina was about ready to wring my neck that I didn't mention that, sorry.
We'll go to the barcode system, similar to what Sioux Falls does, and then we can keep track of, everybody always has questions to, well, how many different people or how many different families are using it? Well, we can't really tell in the current system, but with that we can. So we just need to upgrade some equipment.
Oh, yeah, because if you don't sew your little patch on, you can just pin it on and pin it on somebody else.
Mayor.
You wouldn't do that, would you?
I had, yeah,
Can't believe you say that, Mayor.
All right, so you flip over to the next page, into the Parks Department part itself. You'll see a few things going on there, full-time and wages. Something that we've been talking about with Devin for quite a while is adding another staff member. Is that? Yep, the note should be 3 instead of 2.
Okay. Okay.
The numbers changed, that figure didn't.
Okay.
And Devin was actually requesting another part-time person, which we didn't include in here, to help take care of soccer, because we really feel like we need to be committed to that full-time person. I mean, everybody knows we've got a lot of things to keep up with in the Parks Department, and when it's actually raining and the sun is shining, there's a lot of things to keep up, and they fall behind. So the part-time staff portion of that stays the same. Going down towards the bottom, building and structure. So that's where this handout comes that I gave to you. One of the things that we want to try to do, we've been working on, is enhancing our trail system. Frankly, right now we've been focusing on trying to fill in the gaps. You'll see on the handout there's 3 kind of numbered areas around the center core of the community. The first one, A, that's the section of trail where Redwood meets Sioux Boulevard that we've been trying to build now for 2 years, and hopefully we're really close. Whether that happens this year or next year remains to be seen. We're hopeful that it might be this year, but reality is it's probably next year. So that's why I included it on there, because that's this year money that'll roll over into next year. And then B, trail number 2, Split Rock 2018 grant. That's what's broke out as 200,000 on the Aspen, or part of that, sorry. That's the other capital outlay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, 439, other capital outlay, sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Anyways, really, what that is $40,000 of budgeted money from the community. The other portion of that, the 160, we're applying for a state grant for that, so that's hence the 200.
So that's overstated, is that 220?
Oh, I'm sorry, 220.
So
I was
that's
looking
way
at.
overstated, our cost is really 40,
Yep,
And then,
if we get it.
as we go through the revenue side, there's $180,000 of grant revenue.
Okay, it'll all.
Showing on the revenue
Okay.
side.
So it's really 40, if you put that in parentheses.
Yep.
That'll make it.
thank you. So, and this isn't just willy-nilly choosing where, there, and here and there to do this. If you look at this example on the front, what we're trying to do is complete this core so that there's actually a continuous usable loop within the center of our community. And then from there, we'll begin to expand out. So C would be just north on Split Rock to Redwood. I just called that trail number 3. And we hope to do that in 2019 and 2020, depending upon whether or not we're successful in getting another state grant. So the under 432 building and structure, back to that, sorry. That includes a few things. So if you flip over to this second page, it'll be kind of a diagram. And what I want to show you is just from a budgeting point of view, we're trying to spread that out through the community. We're just not trying to focus on one area. Starting with that, the one park that wasn't indicated on Paul's stuff today GIS-wise, so we should fire the intern, was Stone Ridge Park, which is up north by the railroad. I'm just giving him a bad time. That was really awesome. Future interns. So there's got to be someone better than by Nebraska, but that's beside the point. So.
I like Nebraska.
So anyway, Stone Ridge Park, we're working on putting a playground in that park this year. We're currently out getting bids and proposals for that work. And then the next phase for next year would be to install a shelter and restroom in that park. So that's about 50,000 of that 200,000. And then some of that money goes into our continued construction of the restroom and concession building at Aspen Park. You'll see that indicated on there. So that's this year's budget money plus some money from next year to be able to get to that 350 that Brian talked about earlier in the council meeting today. And then there's some miscellaneous things at Aspen. That includes new fence tubing. That's the yellow stuff along the top of the fence, the warning fence. And then we want to add what are called some yard safety lights throughout the park, just putting some lights in certain areas that get dark and stay dark. So we want to light them up.
Parking lot,
Yeah.
like put in 3 or 4 lights.
It is dark down there.
So this is under list number 2, if you're looking at the budget, what he's talking about right now.
Yep. And then in addition to that is on list number 2 over at McCarty Bark is the rebuilding the fishing pier wall. And that's a bit of a misnomer. What we're going to do is remove the fishing pier wall and regrade it. And that's where the cost is because we have to move a couple lights. So the wall is something that just gets busted up by flooding conditions or ice and time, and we just want to get rid of it. So it is a non-maintenance item.
Yeah, the fishing area will remain, sidewalk will remain, so folks can still fish out there, but the retaining wall itself gets beat up every ice out. We're missing most of the capstones, a few of the block themselves. So we talked about replacing that or rebuilding it, and that was 20+ thousand to rebuild it. We thought if we just took the wall out, reshaped the ground, relocated the lights back a little bit, it's still a very usable fishing area, but we don't have the maintenance headache of the wall.
So if you look at that page 2 of this graphic, and then you look at our different parks in purple that are indicated in Aspen and green and McCarty in red, over the last 2 years, we'll have pretty much worked in all those parks and accomplished projects in all of them, whether it's new playgrounds, new shelters, new restrooms. So you can see with some of our increased budgets that we've been slowly working towards over the last few years, we've actually been starting to make some progress. So, and then the last part of the budget request, you'll see under list number 3, equipment. That's $65,000 for a new skid loader and $2,500 or $2,600 for some miscellaneous equipment. Brian does, or Devin does a lot of snow removal and those kind of things, and on our trail system, and his equipment's just getting old.
And that 65,000 is for the skid loader and snow blower and some other assorted equipment.
And then you'll see on there pickup for 30,000. What we're going to try to do is talk to Raleigh, see if we can spin an old street department truck into the park system, and then maybe use some of that, because another one of Devin's requests is to get a utility vehicle that they can use within a lot of the parks and on the trail system. But we kind of put that down at number 2. So if we can get a used truck, and then we can put some of that money towards the utility vehicle instead.
Yeah, you'll
So-
see the Kubota utility vehicle usually is out the one that's doing the sidewalks in the winter, snow removal.
Yeah, it's got the brush on it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have another one. It's one of those pieces of equipment that once you get it, you find all kinds of stuff that you can do with it.
So I'd say the best thing for last, and it's at the bottom of the list, other capital outlay, you'll see 75,000 dedicated to the hockey complex. And that is the Hockey Association, which we'll talk about here in just a second, wants to do a new refrigerated outdoor rink in addition to the rink that they currently have. And to make a long story short, the new Shields Ice Complex in Sioux Falls is booked all the time. They're having troubles getting in there. There are a lot of requests to do outdoor type rink events, but with the way our seasons have changed over the last 20 years, keeping outdoor ice without it being refrigerated is really difficult. So hockey's got a plan to come in, do a bunch of improvements, and the $75,000 that we're budgeting helps get a lot of their infrastructure in place as far as connection to power, and some of the grading work and those kind of things. It's kind of our investment. But I'll let Hockey here talk about that real quick.
That's right. I'm Brian Seaver. I'm past president of Brandon Valley Hockey.